You're welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on City TV. Now, time to talk about some issues, that concerns all of us. And this conversation on fuel prices have become quite topical in recent times. And why not? It is worth looking at and also knowing how Ghanaians are receiving this and what our expectations in the coming days are. From the City Newsroom, we have a report put together by my colleague, Kwekwe Jama Ansah. Let's take a look. When we come back, we'll delve deeper into this conversation.
The latest hike in fuel prices has gotten transport operators worried over its impact on their business. The price of fuel at the beginning of the year was about 6 Ghana cedis 45 pesos per litre, but now stands at almost 10 Ghana cedis at some fuel pumps like Total. Stakeholders in the industry have attributed the depreciation of the Ghana cedi against the dollar and sharp increases in oil prices on the global market as reasons for the spike in the price of fuel at the pumps. Charles is a commercial transport operator who has been in the business for the past 30 years. He tells me the hike in fuel price is not only affecting his business but also impacting on the well-being of his family.
31 years in still I'm home one or driving said I buy 31 years for driving. I should still I'm home one. A transport fare no say a kobe nanim kakra o man wan cedi kra to so a nka be boy say do tom na nye o say that tom 1 cedi no watom mienu they say otom 3 4 kra o me entom na ye gina fa and am wayen ntia so man ko nanim kakra ma yen ana so otom na ontom ma yen.
Like Charles, other transport operators are also experiencing hardship.
I buy to fuel and muko do 35%. Oh no, a transport union, no me say, on my 30%. Fair no. You can't wanye no my 15%. 15% in each no. Udi my any nine by 1 week later no to fuel. See 3 weeks in what's not to fuel. It's too much. Am I? This year, petrol. This is petrol 1 gallon. This year 4.5. Petrol 1 gallon. This year no. Yeah.
Before now, want to affecting because me Canada. Because prices is ten edgy, and I send a full and so on. And my edge manoma full no.
Martha is a wife of a transport operator, and she validates concerns expressed by the drivers.
This is a boy that want to so. I want to live in this one. Free Baba Ghana. This is not cost. Fan there. Fan a cost. This is no cost. Rank a fan and cost. This is not too much. It was so too much. To my this is number for my. As a more man, now more man. Nina, I'm a desert. Look who your driver. Oh, brother, this is.
Reacting to the latest hikes, they called on the government and the Ghana Private Road Transport Union (GPRTU) to address the issue.
Better for 150, 120. Open what it here, oh, yeah, now coffee. And the abandoned there, ya can't abandon there. Why not you say, on Sissan, near the end of Bessison, San Cos Samaya, and Kabe you know, because and enjoy a crown tomato. A year by this time, go, me talk gallon. 65, 70 cedis, and then 115, 115.
Friend, dear Minyaya, Aya Dentano, Minyaya, and Kianji 7 cedis. Yes, 7 cedis, and never boy. Ulo do no cockroach when you bimba. So, from here to Adenta, you use 2 gallons in the head and Ecoba. Obeto diesel, 2 gallons, Aquabano, and a full load, no, Zulu do qua, 100 Ghana. Ubano and Yabama Waboka.
On a rather interesting note, some drivers are not perturbed about the continuous hike in fuel price.
Fuano, Seko 200 Ghana cry, Eberto, Ghana 4. Yamamuniate, Yet Nigeria, Ghana Niate, says that Abacobia, means I said, me driving, I do Messiano, Sana Netia, meaning I said, me driving, and to me driving. Ukraine, Omunian said, Guacamompe. I saw for Bobo and you won't move, and the other meet him. Let me get a metia, Mimato, a quote to an Ghana Cramato, Ayajuma. And the management is coming. Ya two more and 2 more.
Some passengers who spoke to City News called on government to intervene to stop the likely increase in transport fares.
This morning when I was coming from Hacho, like all the filling stations, they set the time to 0. It is just too much. I think something needs to be done about it as soon as possible. Yeah.
What I think is over there for us, for transport, money for transport is over. From here to Medina, see I go at Delta, I go pay 5.5. Yeah? Price over.
We wake up, there will be an exchange of transportation. The fares will be going up and up. That's the problem we'll be facing. And it's affecting us a lot. Sometimes we don't know how much they are going to charge for the next day. You'll be sitting in the car, they'll tell you transportation has been increased.
All right, so that's some drivers sharing their thoughts on the price hikes, fuel price hikes. Frema, it's a tough situation.
It is.
I had an experience last week. I was driving. In fact, I found myself driving around maybe 3 or 4 different fuel stations before I decided that okay, the 9.4 here, I'll buy it here because I don't know if I'll find one that's lower than this.
Fuel, you're doing window shopping, huh?
Just driving around window shopping.
No, but it is very serious,
Yeah.
because earlier when I bought a full tank for my car, it was around almost 400 cedis, But on Friday, I decided to, let the fuel go down, wait till the gauge light comes on, because I really wanted to fill my tank and then know how much now I need. And David, so the attendant did not tell me that, okay, it's full. But I saw, okay, so the gauge was being read and it was almost kind of full, but I was also running late. But as of the time I was telling the guy it was enough, it was at 500 cedis. 500 cedis. So I'm asking myself, okay, so this is something that was not even up to 400 cedis. Now I'm buying for 500 cedis, right? And it means that it's going to affect everything. Other thing. So if you're paying 500 cedis for fuel, your salary is the same, right? Fuel food prices are also increasing. The basic stuff, that you need as to survive, remain are also going up. Your money is still the same. This is the real situation on the ground. For me, no amount of English, no amount of policies, strategies, everything. The basic thing we are talking about is this is where we are as a people. It is a very difficult situation now for people. I know that on the international market things are very difficult. But having said that, the reality on the ground is yes, I know things are difficult, and so I'm also saying that things are difficult, and this is the situation.
So we will talk to the transport union people very soon. But what I also want to find out from the authorities is that let's say around about March 1st this year, we're looking at roughly $131 per barrel crude oil. It's now dropped below $100. Why is the fuel still going up? I would like an answer to that question. Somebody who knows what's going on. Tell us.
Explain to
us. Why won't we even see, okay, now it was at 9.5, let's go back to, let's say 8 or 8.5, so that we can actually see that, look, when it happens on the international market, if it goes up on the international market, it goes up. If it comes down, we also show the reflection of it. So we understand what's going on. But
it looks like we are even expected to know that it's going to go a bit higher.
Well,
because that's what the predictions are saying. So truly, maybe there should be some kind of explanation.
Yeah, and then I think we need to also find out what's going to happen on the end of the transport fares as well. We have joining us on the line Godfrey Abulbury, who is the General Secretary for GPRTU. Good morning, Mr. Abulbury.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you this morning. How are you doing?
Well, we're all good.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what's the situation as far as your transport fares are concerned? I know that at the time when you were, a couple of weeks ago, were requesting for a 30% increase. Eventually, through negotiations, you agreed to do a 15% increment. But now it looks as if the fuel is biting even harder than it was a couple of weeks ago.
Well, my brother, you see, the whole thing, whenever we have discussed on this topic, I get a bit scared that we are putting more fear and panic on the traveling public. The moment we see fuel price has been jumped to this particular margin, the next thing is out of extra. And then we would expect all media houses to also begin to speak on a particular direction that if you measure from June 2021, when we had increased our fares by 30%, we were able to absorb all the series of increments, regardless of pressure from other stakeholders that we should increase or increase. We were able to absorb up to this year, February, that we had to now increase by 50%.
Okay.
There has to be a period of absorption that we manage. But what is that? A quick one to increase fare doesn't mean that we will break even. Normally, the resultant effect is that it brings out little passenger turnout. In the situation where a vehicle, a particular terminal can dispatch about 20 cars a day, the more you increase fares, within that week, when you are able to record and observe properly, you will see that you have either 15 or less vehicles dispatched per day. So we are not always quick and very comfortable to discuss about this and saying that, oh, we'll increase fares very sharply, put more fear into our public. Besides that, if we watch the June 1 and then the February increment that we had done, we normally do a projection that fares are increased by this, but will take effect on this date.
Okay.
We give about a week for the message to be sent down to the traveling public, and media will also carry it out for persons who are going to travel within that next week to be aware before they embark on their journey. We don't want that surprises where we just get up. You are coming to the station, holding your own fare, you get there, they say, no, now we are dealing with new fares.
Okay.
So, having said that, I want us to refer to each other. This particular situation now we've all seen is different as what we have been experiencing from the past.
Yeah.
Fuel prices have never gone up by 2 cedi or 3 cedi.
Yeah.
So, parents on pesos, 1 peso, they will only 2 peso or 3 peso, they tell you it goes up by pesos and builds up.
Yeah.
And then we had gotten that protocol with the Transport Ministe that when the build up gets a particular margin beyond 10%, then we come for fair increment negotiations.
Yeah.
So, looking at that, this very one from the 7.99 where we had increased the 50%, it has been shot up to 10.80. And others have been sold at 11.40 or so. But
Wow.
we are not just, we have given receipt to the minister for us to go and meet and discuss on a certain different direction, not just straight to show that we are going to increase fares. Perhaps we can revisit the earlier on idea we had faced government with around November, asking for some additional taxes to be waived off, whether that could be possible now.
Okay.
Since our public outcry is more than any other person can listen. So that's why we wrote the letter to the ministry. And we think perhaps by tomorrow, minister can convene that meeting and then we'll go and then discuss first on that direction. And if not, we'll move to the next direction on the fare increment. But we are a bit reluctant in just pushing that we are going to increase fares.
Okay.
Just to create the fear and panic on our passengers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, Mr. Bobre, so from where you sit, what do you think is the best thing that can be done? Because ideally, like you've mentioned, increasing the transport fares will not be what would be ideal at this point, you know, because of what consumers are also expressing. So if you are to raise any suggestions, what exactly would that be?
I like your good question. I said that we are going to revisit our early on decision somewhere in November, before the budget was read, we had met government and said that we wanted government to look at the tax components, about 18 taxes that they put on fuel. And we have itemized about 6 of them and said that those 6 could be removed or be reduced. And then we attached reasons why they should be reduced. Our government did not listen because the margin by that time wasn't so serious. But now this around, I suspect the meeting they are on, there's a cabinet meeting that is going on, and I believe it is one of the key issues that they are discussing. I know information we have in Europe is that they might consider looking at it from the tax component.
Now, in an unlikely event, you know, when that is not granted, what will happen?
Fares will increase. That's the only option.
Okay, so before you leave us, I just want to find out, there's six tax components that you are looking at.
Yes.
If government was to pay attention and say, okay, we will listen to what GPRTU is saying this time, how much reduction do you think it will have at the pump?
Because from the figures that are attached to those taxes, you combine all, you're getting about 179 pesos.
Okay.
When you add all, you're getting 179 pesos. When you add or you move 179 pesos out of what is current market price per liter, the rest you have to say that we can manage, you can absorb it and manage for some time.
Okay. All right.
We are not quick in just talking about fair increment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. We really appreciate it, and we wish you all the best in your negotiations with government. Yeah. All right. So that was Godfred Abubiri, who is the General Secretary of the GPRTU. Interesting thoughts and suggestions. I think that there has to be, first of all, there has to be an acknowledgement by government that if the international prices have dropped, it should reflect in one way or another. It may not drop as much in terms of the fuel at the pump, but you have to respect that we know what is going on, right? Now, of course, the calculation is not as simple as that. So I appreciate that, right? But you can't also act as though we don't know what you know in terms of when the prices, if it's $130 per barrel, you say, oh, international prices are high, so we have to accept it that it's going to go up. Then when they drop, you are not coming to, explain why it's not dropping.
I really want to believe that, fuel prices, would really feature prominently at the just ended cabinet retreat. And I'm really waiting for whatever happens.
Conclusions they came up with.
Absolutely, because I want to believe that it is very key at this point, because that is what Ghanaians are talking about. Because once there are increase in fuel prices and products, it affects every aspect of our lives. And like you rightly said, government cannot say that they do not know, because they are part of the system, and they know what is going on. They buy fuel. If they are not paying for fuel, they have workers, they have relatives who are buying stuff on the market. They can attest to the fact that things are not how they are supposed to be. So we really wait for the fallout of the meeting.
Well, I'm part of a WhatsApp group, and there was some conversation this weekend about this thing. And some people are even saying that, well, government is definitely going to maintain prices of fuel, even though international barrel prices are dropping, so that they can make up for some of the shortfalls they've been experiencing in the economy. It's like just turn a blind eye so that now we have some extra monies coming in from the fuel side, But yeah, I don't know.
Right, so we'll go over the line and talk to Chief Executive of Consumer Protection Agency, Kofi Kapito. He joins us via Zoom. Thank you very much, Kofi, for joining us.
Good morning, Frema. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Trust you are doing well too.
I'm doing great.
Right, so your people are complaining, Ghanaians are talking, prices of fuel keep rising and it's affecting our everyday life. What do you make of this?
Frema, it is very, very astonishing that it looks like the cries of the Ghanaian or the consumer of fuel is not being adhered to. Let me give a typical example. A lot of people have called for certain interventions or certain taxes and levies that can be removed to cushion the consumer a little bit. My biggest issue with this whole petrol thing is there's a window that we increase fuel. Fortunately, in the beginning, it was about $129 per barrel on international. As we speak, it's a little under $100. So at least there's a $20 or $20-something savings there. Whenever it happens, petrol is increased. When it goes up, it's increased immediately. The funny thing is when it goes down, it looks like it never comes down again. So that is where the challenge is. Yes, the consumer is suffering, and very soon the GPRTU and all those transport people are also saying that they need to increase. The last time that they had that increase, it was an agreed between the Ministry of Transport, the transport unions, and even the Consumer Protection Agency, who pleaded on behalf of passengers that the unions were talking about 20%, government was talking about 10%. So we have to say that, you know what, let's all agree. Let's make it 15 so that the unions would take a hit, government would also take a hit, and the passengers would also have some relief. So that's how we came to 15%. So the question is, what is government doing? This is on the doorstep of government, because government is a person who has the control. I, personally, if you ask Mr. Alex Mode, I was one of the people who was interested in what is deemed as deregulation. Deregulation means that government doesn't have any price control anymore, because competition, as we all know, in a free market sometimes brings better prices. We are doing this free market thing, a competition thing, but it looks like it's not benefiting us in Ghana.
Now, Kofi, but what can government do? Because, you know, the issue of dropping some of the taxes, you know, has come up, you know, sometime in November from the GPRTU. They raised some of these issues, but nothing was really done about it. They are looking at bringing these concerns back, you know, in their discussion with the Transport Minister this week. We just spoke to Mr. Bulbury of the GPRTU. Now, in an instance where government still maintains some of these taxes, realistically, the GPRTU says that it has no option than to increase fares. What will this mean, and what will happen?
You know, Frema, I agree with the GPRTU. They are private transport union. Private transport union. So to me, it's even in a good way that they are willing to work with government. Look, just ask a question. When the airline industries, decides to increase their transport fares, you don't ask anybody. They don't. Because to me, I think the GPRTU have shown a lot of care about the Ghanaian, that let's go and negotiate before we even decide to go and increase our prices. When you take a taxi cab, drop it. With all due respect, some drivers will charge you more, some drivers will charge you less. That is competition. Even in the regulated transportation like Uber and Yango, I mean, nobody regulates them in terms of pricing. So to me, GPRTU has done a good job. All Consumer Protection Agency is asking government to do is to be able to say that, you look, recently we were told about a COVID levy. With all due respect, why are Ghanaians being paid a charge COVID levy? Why are Ghanaians being asked to charge COVID levy? COVID levy for what?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the question is, there are taxes. There's this toll recovery debt. Toll recovery debt, a debt has to be paid and finished paying. We've been paying this recovery debt for God knows how long. as to how much has been paid and how much has been collected and the balance. No government has told any Ghanaian that, oh, we owed 100 million, we've paid 50, there's 50. So in 2 years' time, we can pay the other 50. So that we know that we don't pay toll recovery debt anymore.
Yeah.
What about the stabilization fund? The stabilization fund is a set aside money so that in times of prices going up and down, it can be used to cushion the consumer. There's so many areas that government should be able to say, look, time has come, even bringing a lot of interventions like boosting the public transportation in other jurisdictions that people are complaining. Luckily, they have proper public transportation. I'm talking about state or government transport services. In Ghana, we don't have any rail. Nobody has any train to travel on. I mean, Ayalolo and Metro Mass, it's nothing to write home about. So what do you want the Ghanaian to do? The Ghanaian is now asking government, please look at the people of Ghana. We pay the taxes. Everything that is in Ghana is for Ghanaians.
Right, Kofi. So moving on, how should consumers position ourselves? Should we just psych ourselves to get ready to pay more? I mean, how do we proceed?
Unfortunately, it looks like we might have to pay more, unless, of course, the negotiation between the unions and government comes to a very cordial thing. If not, the transport unions, they are not Father Christmas. They are business. Okay, they are there to make profit. Even government wants to make profit of us. So what stops a private person from doing the same thing? But all I beg is, even in the negotiation, the unions should consider the consumer that, look, don't take a very high percentage. Maybe you can look at the way that we can break even. We all need to, the new expression is tighten your belt. But sometimes it's annoying that you tighten your belt and then you see the other person, he doesn't even have a belt.
Right. Well, so we'll see what happens in the coming days. Kofi, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
So this COVID recovery levy, after the World Bank has given Ghana $430 million towards our COVID fund, we are still charging COVID recovery levy as a factor in our fuel. What problem? What have we done? What have we done?
Considering we've also handled COVID very well, you know, COVID didn't really deal with us badly like it did with other countries, but this is where we are, and it is what it is. You know, I'm still waiting for what happened at the in Pediasi, you know, after the retreat. I'm really waiting to hear details of what happened. We're also looking forward to what will transpire, you know, in the meeting between the Transport Minister and the transport unions. This is Breakfast Daily.